Hi guys, my name is Ashley Coons. Thanks for tuning into my channel today. Today we are going to be doing poured paintings. I'm going to be using this Liquitex pouring medium and then just a variety of acrylic paints, and we're going to be making something similar to this piece right here. You can see that this painting is very shiny. That is due to the pouring medium. I did not finish the top of this off with anything else or varnish or anything like that. So I guess if you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, so we are going to go ahead with this canvas here. The first thing you're going to want is you are going to want some gloves. This will protect your hands, and this is a very messy process, so you do want to protect your skin. The Liquitex pouring medium does stick really, really bad to your skin and any hair. The first time I used it, I actually didn't wear gloves, and I ended up getting it like all the way up to my elbows, and I was picking off pieces of it for probably a good week. I tried everything to remove it, rubbing alcohol, oils, you name it, and I couldn't get it off. So just a FYI on that. So make sure you're protecting your skin. And then I am going to just put, since this is such a small canvas, I am just going to put a little bit of paper towels down just so that I don't make a huge mess everywhere. So there is my canvas. There's that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this Liquitex pouring medium, and I buy it by the gallon. So this is a really big container of it. You can get smaller amounts, but trust me, once you start doing poured paintings, you will want to have the gallon because they're really fun, and yeah, you'll want to make more than you expect. So I'm going to start by putting just some of the pouring medium into my cups. For this painting, I want the base of the painting to be white, so I'm going to make a lot of white. So this first cup, I'm going to have a lot of pouring medium in, because you want to make sure that you have more than enough of the pouring medium. So you can see I've got about a third of a cup right there. And then this painting is going to be primarily pinks and blues, so I want to have a couple different colors of pink and blue, and you don't need to mix up as much of these other colors because a little bit of color goes a very long way. I should also mention this is a very wasteful process, so a lot of the stuff that I use I keep reusing. So all of my sticks and stuff for mixing, these cups, I pull the pouring medium out of it. Once it dries, it turns into kind of like a rubbery plastic. So when it's fully dry in the cups, you can actually grab onto a chunk of it and pull the whole dried part out. Just make sure it's fully dry, and that works pretty well. And then like all my popsicle sticks and stuff, when I'm done using them, I wipe them down with paper towels, get any excess off that I can, and then I'll use them the next time. So I'm just about done. I've got 6 different cups here with pouring medium in it, so that is probably going to be good. Then make sure you put your lid on tightly. You really should use a rubber mallet to put the lid on it, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to just move it aside, and I can properly close it a little bit later. So I got some pouring medium on my hands, so I'm going to clean that up before I go any further, because like I said, this stuff will stick to your skin really bad and just make an absolute mess. So clean the hands. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to make sure that this is in full view of the camera here. How about that? Okay, that's probably all right. So you can see in these cups here that this is a milky color. It does dry clear, so if I were to just pour this over the canvas, it would dry clear. It wouldn't dry like this milky, creamy color. I am going to start with my white one because that is the one that I need the most color of, and I'm just using this Liquitex Basics acrylic paint. This shade is titanium white, and so you can see I don't measure anything out, but you don't want to put too much paint in because you don't want the pouring medium to be too thick. So I just gave it a good healthy squirt of white in there, and I'm going to mix it, and then I'll be able to see if the consistency or the color is what I want. If the paint ends up too thick, you can always add more pouring medium. If it is not opaque enough, then you can always add more paint. And I find that the soft body paints are way easier to mix into the pouring medium. They just go in a lot smoother, they mix up a lot more fully, and you don't have little chunks of paint left over in there. If you use a heavy body for this process, you probably will end up with a few chunks on your painting. And the goal is to get it to dry as smooth as possible. Okay, so there we have the white mixed up. I am going to continue this with all the other colors. I'll probably hyperlapse it. Just bear with me while I mix up a few more colors here. Okay, so we're going to start by getting our white base on here. Okay, so you want it to have a nice runny consistency, and I know it's kind of hard to show you that on here on camera with the angle that I'm filming at, but you'll just have to trust me on this. So it's very smooth. I should be able to just pour it right out, hence the name pouring medium. And this Liquitex stuff is really nice. It's kind of more expensive than most people want to spend on a pouring medium, so I totally understand that. Like, you gotta work within your budget, and making some art is better than making no art. If all you can afford is, you know, a different kind of pouring medium, like a craft store one or something like that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Work within your means and keep creating art no matter how you have to do it. So now I'm just going to take my popsicle stick and move the pouring medium around on the canvas. I want to make sure the whole surface of my canvas is covered with this white. And this is a good way to make sure that you don't have any chunks in your paint, because you'll be smoothing them out while you smooth the rest of the canvas. So just continue on, dragging it around. And it's okay if it runs off the edges, because it's definitely going to do that in the next step. So don't worry too much about it. And if you want to be less wasteful even yet with this process, you can definitely do your poured paintings over a tablecloth. Like you can see, I have a plastic tablecloth down on my table, and a lot of times I will just let the paint drip off onto the tablecloth, and then 2 days later I'll come back and I will pull off that dried paint and pouring medium, and then it ends up turning into a really nice paint skin that you can use in other projects. You can use to make necklaces, or you can do like some kind of collage art with it. So there are a lot of options with that. So I'm just making sure, once again, some of this has bubbles in it. My pouring medium is a little bit old, so it's a little thicker than I like it to be, because as you know, time goes by and the container's been open, it does start to thicken a little bit, maybe lose a little moisture. So I'm just popping some of these bubbles just because I really want this to have a smooth surface. I might even lift it up and tap it on the table a couple of times to help break some of those bubbles. You can also use the tip of your finger. And I don't know if you can really see those bubbles on camera, but like there's one over here. I'll pop that one. So yeah, they're just micro bubbles. Another way that you can pop them is by spraying rubbing alcohol, which I do have here on my table. So I might go in and do that at the very end, because I'm sure since this white has some micro bubbles, the rest of it probably does too. So we're going to leave that like that for right now though. We'll leave the bubbles, we can get them out later, because I want to make this fairly quick video here. So next I am going to use that blue that is mixed in with the inks, and I am just going to run it along the length here of the canvas. And I'm not doing this in any particular fashion, I'm just getting the color on there. And one thing I've learned with these smaller canvases when you're doing them is the less you move them around, the better it turns out. You don't want your colors to get all muddy, and I think I mentioned that earlier on, but I can show you some examples that I have of garbage pieces that I ended up ruining because I did manipulate it far too much. So now we're going to add a little bit of this magenta. And again, I'm not putting this on in any specific way because I'm going to run a popsicle stick through it once I get this color all on. Okay, which one are we missing? This blue. Oops. Well, sometimes that happens too. And that's all right. Let's do a little bit more of this pink up here. Okay, so now here is the next part. So I want to mix these colors together just a little bit, but also create kind of like a wave. So I'm going to take my popsicle stick and I'm just running it very lightly over the colors just to mix them together a bit. I'm scraping the end of it off right there, and then you can see that all of these little bubbles are popping through. So as those pop, those will create like some cells. I think most people call them cells. But for right now, we are going to just move this around on the canvas just a tiny bit, just to really make sure those colors get to the ends. And I'm going to drag it down this way to make sure everything is fully coated. And the more you tip your canvas, the faster this paint is going to run. So I'm just tipping it probably at like a 45-degree angle. And then I'll tip it up a little further. And the colors are getting brighter as they're running because some of that white is being pulled away and those layers of the bright color is popping up to the surface. So that's why those colors are brightening up a little bit. And I'm going to let this drip until it goes all the way down off the edge of the canvas down there. And I got a big bubble right here I'm going to pop with my finger. And you can also pop them with like popsicle sticks, so I'll probably do that for any bigger bubbles. And I'm going to tip this up a little more just to get it to run off. And if you want to move it a little bit this way, I can even go in with a popsicle stick and move that like that. And then if I want it to run back this way, we can do that. And I'm just touching up this edge right here to make sure that it comes all the way to the edge. And this is self-leveling like I mentioned before. So all of this will end up drying extremely smooth and very beautiful. And I just wanted to create a few little ripples in there. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to set this down. And I have my little toothpick right here, so I'm just going to go and pop some of these bubbles. And you want to clean it off every now and then so that it's not just grabbing more paint. Oh gosh, that blue is so pretty in here. Popping the bubbles is really fun. So if you need just a little hobby, popping bubbles is awesome. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I know that there's still a lot of micro bubbles in there. So for that, I am going to use a rubbing alcohol. So I'm just going to grab that really quick. It's right behind me. Okay, and I just keep rubbing alcohol in just a little spray bottle. I use it a lot in my studio. You just never know when the need for rubbing alcohol is going to come up. So I'm going to pop just a couple more of these bigger ones. And I like to use the light that I have shining on my canvas just to see where the bubbles are, because when you're looking directly from above, it's kind of hard to see some of them. So now I'm going to go ahead and just do a couple spritzes, and most of those micro bubbles are popping with just that little bit. I've got a couple I got to go back in and fix. And if I don't pop them, it's not the end of the world. They just might pop while this is curing, and it could end up having little tiny divots in your piece, which isn't all that bad. You know, there are definitely worse things that could happen. And if that does happen, you can always fix it by adding another coat of the pouring medium. You could just put a clear coat on, don't mix any paint in with it, and that would give you a nice smooth finish. Just make sure if you do that you're using some more fresh pouring medium, so that way then you don't end up with the same problem. Because my problem definitely is that my pouring medium was just getting a little old, so this will probably be the last piece that I do with it, but it's fun. Okay, one more big one here, and I think I'm going to call that good. And this stuff, it takes, you know, probably a good 24 hours for it to fully cure, which would mean that it's like fully set up. But I still would be very careful with it, at least for, you know, probably a good week. I wouldn't package and ship this painting for quite a while, just because it is probably still going to be a little wet. But that is the finished piece. So you can see it's very glossy right now, and it will stay that glossy as it dries. So that's pretty cool. All right, so that is my poured painting tutorial. I know it was kind of quick, but sometimes quick videos are okay too. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thank you.